Hello, rock and rollin' Scott Bolan here with a message for you about living by design instead of living by default. Most people live by default. Just like an infant will put anything in its mouth, so most people put anything in their brains, anything in their mouth, anything in their life without intention, without purpose, and therefore without power. Okay? We want to live by design, not by default. Now, rules are a good thing. Okay, a stoplight, there's a rule, stop at a red light. That's a good rule because if you don't, you might mash with the other car and both of you end up going through the windshield or mashing your face into the dash and becoming roadkill. So ideally, rules are a good thing. What warriors know is that they can also make rules for themselves. You can make your own rules for yourself. And that can help you, it can protect you, it can empower you. Okay? It can preserve you in these rules, just like a red light rule. Having your own rules and a warrior code of conduct empowers you and protects you. Now, for example, here are just a few rules on relationships. I call them a primary four, and they're not just for romantic relationships. It could be any relationship. We'll use romantic relationships as an example, but it can apply to anything, okay? Now, most people, you hear of this VAB formula in NLP, values, attitude, and belief. Well, I like to say AVAB because we've got attraction. That has to be there initially. And that might be in a romantic relationship or maybe in a business relationship. Two business people are attracted to each other, not in a romantic sense, but in an energetic or a business sense. Whatever that might be, okay, you have attraction, values, attitudes, and beliefs. Most people, for example, in romantic relationships, they have attraction to each other, and then they have attitude. In other words, they get along. They don't have the same values or the same beliefs. So it heads for disaster, and that's why 51% of all marriages end up in divorce. So here's a rule right now, and that is never assign your values to another person. Now here's what I mean. Most people, if they get along, they just want to be loved, and they get along great. They're attractive, they're nice, they have a good attitude, and they hop down the aisle, okay? Because they're assigning their beliefs on another person, they're assigning their values to another person. Here's an example. Let's say monogamy is important to you, okay? And so you're with another person, and you ask her, do you think cheating is bad? And she says, yeah, cheating is bad, okay? But when they say bad, their definition of bad might be bad like eating too much pizza or having too many beers on a Saturday night. Okay? As opposed to your meaning of bad might be that's life-altering destruction, almost as bad as murder. See what I mean? But when you hear what you want to hear, she said cheating is bad, you heard what you wanted to hear. And so you accepted that and you went and you assigned your values to that person. Does that make sense? Are you with me? So never assign your values to another person. Okay? You want to see what they already have, what they already value, rather than pinning your hope on them, taking a sticker and saying they have trustworthiness, they have this, they have that. Okay? You don't want to assign. Now, I am not saying to look at everyone suspiciously either. You want to have the meditative mind, the warrior mind, so that you can see what is actually there. See, the busy mind and the mind that assigns its values to other people will miss the red light, which is the warning. They'll also miss the green light, which is the opportunity. So we want to have an aware mind. Now, how would you go about finding out what their values really are? Well, for example, it might say, cheating is bad. I don't believe in cheating. She go, oh yeah, cheating is bad. Now, at that point, you don't know. Does she mean bad like eating too much ice cream at a birthday party, okay? Or does she mean it like you mean it, like it's horrible, life-altering destruction? Well, here's how you find out. You go, wow, have you ever had that happen to you? Have you ever been cheated on, or do you know anyone that's happened to? See, and then you get information that way. Then you come back to it later. You come back to it in different ways, and you observe. You observe things. If she observes that you go to a movie together and there's cheating in the movie, then you notice. You notice. Just notice. Okay, don't seek. Simply notice. And you can use this in any area of life, not just romantic relationships. We're just using that as an example. So rule number 1, do not assign your values to another person. That's important. Don't assume that they have your same intentions. See, often good people like us we automatically see the good in other people. We see what we want to see. No, we need to see what actually is. Okay? Does that make sense? And I've shown you some ways to get it. Now, here's the second rule. Okay? No one is qualified for access to you who looks down on you. No one is qualified for access to you who looks down on you. Now imagine if you had that rule. If you said, no one is qualified for access to me if they look down on me. That's a good rule. That's a really good rule, because think about it. How many people have you allowed in your life who actually look down on you? Okay? And it's disempowering. It harms your energy. It harms your emotional balance and stability. Okay? It affects your energies in subconscious ways, probably consciously as well. You feel down, you feel bad around that person, they drain your energy. So here's a great rule. No one is allowed, no one is qualified. No one who looks down on me is qualified for access to me. See what I mean? Oh, that's a great one. That is such a good one. Now, you've heard about qualifying for a loan. If people don't meet certain qualifications, they don't make enough money, they can't get this car loan. Okay? Likewise, you can qualify your relationships. If they look down on you, then they're not qualified for access. They don't get access. They don't meet the criteria. Just like the car loan, they don't meet the criteria. Their paycheck's not enough, right? Well, it's the same way. You have the power to do that in your life. You don't have to accept people. You don't have to accept people who look down on you. That's important, because it's people who look down on you and judge you cause you subconsciously or even consciously to look down on yourself. So here's what I want. I don't need people who look up at me, but I need people who will look straight across the table. Okay? Human to human. No egos, no BS, okay, and no condescension. And that's very important. No preconceived attitudes or notions. Hey, I don't have time for negativity. So remember that rule, which leads us to number 3, which is no negative friends. No negative friends. Now hold on a minute. Don't go out and fire all your friends because they're negative or don't share your enthusiasm. No, that's not what it's about. Let me qualify that. No negative friends, okay, means, hey, stupid is okay. I have smart friends. I have stupid friends who tell me they're stupid. You know what? That's fine. But when they're negative, what it means is that they don't have a self-responsible worldview. If you've got people who blame God, blame the government, blame others for all of their troubles, guess what? That's a negative friend, okay? They don't have a self-responsible worldview. And eventually, they'll blame you. Okay? So therefore, no negative friends. It's people who are on a negative bent and have a negative outlook at life. It isn't that they're going to share your motivation, for conquering the world and achieving your goals, going after your dreams. They might not have that, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're negative. It just means they don't have ambition, okay? Or they don't live with intention. That's okay, but no negative friends, meaning those who don't have a self-responsible worldview, okay? There's a danger there, and these negative friends will take you down, because if you walk into a smoky room, I don't care if you hold your breath, you're going to get smoke in your skin, you're going to get smoke on you, okay? Don't take your pearl, okay, and put it in the mud and expect it to stay clean, okay? So friends do influence you, even if you think, well, I'm a warrior and I'm above that. Guess what? You are influenced by your relationships, by your friends, so no negative friends. Which finally comes to this. When you end a negative relationship, and you know what this is rule number 4. When you end a negative relationship, do not allow the relationship to continue in your thoughts. When you end a negative relationship, do not allow the relationship to continue in your thoughts. See, the person may be dead and gone. They may have been, years old. Maybe your stepfather abused you, or whatever horrible thing happened. But they're still living on in you and influencing you every single day when they stay in your thoughts. Therefore, you cleanse your thoughts and you renew your mind. And when the thought of that person comes up, you go, oh, and you replace it with an empowering thought. Notice your thinking. Most people don't notice their thinking. They're just thinking and they think that's normal. It's like salivating, Pavlov's dogs, or an infant putting anything in its mouth. By design, you don't want to be by default putting any thought in your mind, anything in your mouth. Okay? You want to go, oh, that's by default. I now think empoweringly. I think powerfully. That means, does this thought empower me? Does this serve me? Or does this weaken me? and you'll find those thoughts actually weaken on you. So start noticing your thought patterns and cast those negative relationships out. Just say no, and then think on the empowering, the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, the positive, and the strong. Okay? Go over these 4 rules. Write them down. Watch the video again. Write them down and notice how they empower you. And I invite you to discover more on the website, and I hope to meet you in training someday. Os.